amazing family. This is Hadija from the Parenting Mindset Shift, a place for parents to find clarity, peace, and joy in their parenting journey. And today I want to talk about therapeutic presence. What is it and how can we cultivate that? So I came across with this term by watching a podcast, the Diary of a CEO podcast that I love and I love watching. And Dr. Aditi was talking about this concept that has actual research proven to indicate the impact of therapeutic presence. So of course, when I'm listening to those kind of things, the first thing that came in mind is, do I have it with my kids? Because this whole channel is about our relationship with our children and how can we find happiness, clarity, and confidence in our parenting while raising our children, while having the different challenges that we may have. So, but now when we talk about therapeutic presence, what it is that we mean. So here she mentioned the fact that she was sharing the concept with the doctors. So of course it's when you go to see a doctor, you have those vibes, you have those feelings that you trust and you feel comfortable with the person, with the doctor giving you the news. And she said that when she understood the impact of therapeutic presence, her job was to make sure that whoever is leaving that room is living with a feeling of healing. Not necessarily to be cured, but just that feeling that you have. So, of course, when I'm listening to this, I'm reflecting on my parenting and I'm reflecting on who I am toward my kids. When they speak to me and when they leave the room, what's the feeling they have after that? If I had the point that I wanted to share with them, can I make sure that it came across the way I wish it came across instead of them feeling bad about themselves, for instance? And also I reflect about my childhood, and I had that person in my life, and I'm so grateful that my dad was and had this beautiful therapeutic presence. So my parents were separated when I was around 5 years old, and my dad lived in Marseille, the south of France, and my mom in Paris. And I grew up in Paris and I was mostly with my mom, but every holiday school break, I would go to Marseille with my dad, which is another aspect of it's never about the quantity of spending the time with your child. It's really about the quality time, because the impact that my father had in me is priceless, right? So every vacation I would go there, and I will share my memories with him, my beautiful being together. But when I was in Paris and with my mom, and I will have moment of I'm not feeling well and I want to talk to somebody, for some reason my dad always came up in my mind. I will always say to my mom, I need to talk to dad. And I will call my dad and I will talk about school, whatever the problem was at the time. I have no idea, maybe. But at the time, it was a stressful moment. And I said, yeah, school is very stressful. That's hard. I don't know if I will make it, whatever. And he always have that those way of talking to me that I will always feel reassured. Like, always be like, kind of, and because I'm a believer, kind of like, I feel like he may have a direct connection with God and God sent him a message to him and tell him everything is going to be fine. And then I'm listening and I'm like, okay. And I will always finalize those conversations by feeling better. Whatever the stress was, Dad said everything is going to be fine. So everything is going to be fine. And then of course he's going to give me like that little, lecture of just, keep on focusing on keeping on working and things like that. So he will always give me the seeds of, you don't just sit there doing nothing and things will be fine. But he has this way of doing this very strategically, right? But his presence was always reassuring. I will just be in the room and I realized today, not today, but I realized that I never felt threatened or scared to be around my father. And it may sound silly because maybe it's very obvious for so many of us, but we need to pay attention and make sure that our kids don't feel threatened and that they feel safe with us. And I know I keep on repeating that, but I think we need to see it in a different perspective sometimes. We need to see it in, we are not talking about, again, the feeling threatened because they're going to be beat up. We're just talking about the eruption of anger suddenly for no reason, like the eruption of taking things away from you. And let's say you were sitting reading a book, for instance. For me, if I'm here when I was in my childhood, I would be sitting in a couch and reading a book, and my mom or aunt would be like, you're supposed to be cleaning the kitchen, or you're supposed to do those things, and it was never okay for me to just sit there. And I was always in a position where I need to do something. I need to always be in a moving position. I couldn't be feeling just safe in just doing nothing, for instance. And we want to be in a position where it's okay for them to know that they did their chores, they did their responsibility, they did what they were supposed to do. Now they can just chill, and it's okay. And they don't feel the look when we pass by. But I think mainly when I'm talking here about the therapeutic presence, which she indicates that research has been proven that you can have an impact that is giving hope and reduce stress and reduce even some type of disease because the patient believe what the doctor says. And the way they were talking about of how to cultivate that was the way you talk about, you interact with the person. So if they show differences between standing up and sitting down in the equal level of the person you were talking about too. So if you're sitting and of course depending of your intention. So your intention here in this context is to show compassion, is to show empathy. Your context here is not to show power. And if it's a power move that we need to do, yes, we need to stand up and show and be in a position where everybody is sitting and you indicate the different things that you want to indicate in that power move. But here in the relationship that I'm talking about with our kids, and when we want to make sure that we are touching their heart and we are showing compassion, is we want to be in that level of when they want to share something with us, they don't feel threatened. They just feel like they can actually go on and just talk with us because now we are sitting. But if we are, and I can see those different things, like even my body language, if they say, hey, can I talk to you? And if I'm standing in the door and be like, yeah, sure, but I'll just stand there, that's not really showing. And maybe that's, again, very obvious for some of us, but that doesn't show very a welcoming, I can talk to you, mom. It shows that mom needs to go to the kitchen in a second, so you need to be quick. Like, what do you want to talk about? Quickly. What is it? Of course, they're not going to share. However, if I close the door and I sit on the floor, which is usually in bed, and then I'm just listening, that's definitely a different dynamic. So if we keep on practicing doing those things and being mindful of what it is, what is the feeling that they have after having a conversation with us. And the reason it's very important is because our children cannot learn, cannot be creative, cannot be free of thinking the way they want to think if they live in a stress environment, if they live in an environment where your presence is not bringing any positivity. If it's bringing stress, those things can be communicating with the vibe like we talk about. And knowing that, I think is very important to remind ourselves of our intention, because at the end of the day, that's our job. That's our job to make sure that the basic need of our kids, which we're talking about, the basic need of the Maslow hierarchy. We're talking about the basic, right after eating, right after that is safety. Right after that is safety. And you can give any kind of interpretation about safety, because yes, we are not comparing the world we live in any other world that has living in a war or distress. We're talking about the different level of safety that our kids have. Right after feeding and food and shelter is safety. After that, we have self-esteem. And then eventually self-actualization, which is really what we want them to get there. We want them to be in a position where their self they want to flourish, they want to thrive. But before they're thinking of thriving, they need to have those basic met. And this is our job. As long as they live in our house, this is our responsibility to make sure that it happens. So for that, we need to develop the listening skills, the building this relationship with them, and understanding them a little bit more, so we can, and the way you do that is sitting in their level and just share things like that, right? So I just wanted to have this awareness of therapeutic presence. And did you have anyone like that in your life? And can you try to duplicate that and be that person to anyone? Because sometimes we even go to places and we meet new friends, and you meet that person and there's this whole energy going through them, and you're like, I just like her, and I just like that person, like something about that person, like the vibe is there. You want to be there for, you want to be in that energy for your kids, so then it's easier to do all the things that we want to accomplish. And of course, for that, it starts with you being sure that you are happy and you are in a good place and you are rejuvenating, and like the other different things that I talk about, that is starting with you. Parenting and have joy and clarity and confidence in our parenting start with the work we do with ourselves. If we don't do that work, it's not going to have a full impact it's not going to have a positive impact if we don't do the work, and we just assume that we just need to take the tools and make sure that our kids are feeling healthy and emotionally present and things like that. So we want to make sure that we do that work ourselves. So think about who you have in your life that has that therapeutic presence, and please put it in a comment if there is anything that you want to share about the experience that you had you personally with that, and reflect on the fact that, are you that person for you people around you? And it can be not only for your children, it can be for anyone around you. Are you that person? And be that person and cultivate that work. And the way you do that, you practice being present with sitting in the same level, and talking to the person, not at that person, and develop those communication skills. That again, it's a reminder for myself, because I know we are so busy and we are sometimes trying to rush those conversation up, and I'm guilty of it. So I just want to remind ourselves that those are the things that are important. And like I said, it's research based. We have the proof that this actually works. So let's try to do it. So that was just a quick reminder today. Hey, bringing that Dr. Aditi, and she actually wrote I think a book is out in January. So that will be my read for this year for sure. The 5 Reset. If I found the full title, I put it here. But her work is really, I was amazed by the work that she's providing, and I think this is something worth contemplating and reflecting. So today I just took literally a bit of whatever that podcast was. That was just a little piece of that bring me up to my childhood, bring me up to my parenting, and I just wanted to share that with you. So that's pretty much it. Thank you so much. And again, for the Shred Connection tool this week, it's for you to contemplate if you are a therapeutic present. And if your child wants to talk to you, and even if they don't, just sit with them at their level and just say, I'm here for you. You don't need to talk. You can also talk, but I just want to hang out. Choosing the silence, non-silence, whatever the style is your child. But just do that this week. And I promise you, those daily action build the trust, and then safety, and then we can move forward toward what we want to accomplish. So thank you again for listening, following us, and you know, I didn't mention, but hey, hit the subscribe button, because this subscribe button, if when you become a subscriber, it's definitely helped me to extend the goal of this channel, making sure that this channel is growing. I would love to start having people being invited to speak with me in this channel. So if I can grow and have those different conversations that I can share with you and whoever you want to listen to. So just hit the subscribe button, share it with everybody, and if you enjoyed this video, you also may enjoy the others that I have about the same topic. So don't hesitate to do it, and I will see you next time. Au revoir.